Now, the other surfers in this clash, well, it's equally as important for them. Michel Bourez, he finds himself outside of requalification at the moment, just outside the top 22. And he has missed a couple of events due to injury, so potentially could get that WSL wildcard at the year's end, but he wouldn't want to bank on that. It's not a sure thing.
I agree. You know, so Michel, and it's a really fun thing to take a look at. If you have time, go to the WSL website and look at the ratings. It's so fun. There's a lot of mini dramatic stories there. The wildcard, he'd like to get the job done on his own.
And the other competitor out there in the lineup is this man from Cascais, Portugal, Vasco Ribeiro, 20 years of age, and he is currently 38th on the QS. He's had a couple of strong finishes in some big events down in Newcastle. He finished in the quarterfinals at the start of the year, and just at home, just a couple of weeks back, he made the quarterfinals of that QS 10,000 at Cascais. He was beaten by the eventual winner Kolohe Andino in the quarters. As we see Owen Wright now climbing up a tricky wave. He doesn't ride out of that manoeuvre for the Rip Curl Pro Portugal. Owen made the semi-finals. We'll get back to that in a moment as we see Vash go up. Strong first turn, brings it through to the inside. And takes a fall on the third manoeuvre. Out the back now, Michel Bourez uses his priority. He's going to drive off the bottom. Clean floater to get started, but just struggles with the landing. Be a threat in this one. The early lead goes to Vasco Ribeiro though. He's got a 4.5, the high scoring wave of this heat so far. 23.5 minutes to go. We're going to see plenty more from these three competitors. Just loving the fact that Owen Wright is back. I mentioned before, he did make the semi-finals as a wild card back in 2009 here. It was actually, as we see on the replay there, Vasco Ribeiro, this is the 4.5.
Love that first turn. I guarantee the judges were really psyched on where the bulk of that score came from.
Well, some lumps on the face here, but Vasco just keeping busy. Throws a pretty nice first turn, but is adding points down the line. So that'll be a decent backup.
He's sneaky, isn't he? He looks like he's kind of just cruising down the line, and all of a sudden he just whips into a really nice turn. They have a great shot at pipe. They're so strong there. You know, Mick and Adriano, they're solid, but those guys behind them, they're dangerous. Well,
here goes the world number 3 now, using priority on this wave. First turn strong. He'll want to finish. Gets a little hung up, but rides out. So just under 19 minutes to go. Owen Wright, he's going to put his best score on the board. But you're looking at those surfers in the top 5. A lot of them have had great results in the last 2 events too. And Owen, keep mentioning that semi-final finish he had back in 2009. He didn't even surf that semi-final. He ruptured his eardrum in the quarters and actually tweaked his neck pretty badly as well. And it was the start really of a string of injuries, and some of it connected to that neck injury he suffered as a wild card back in 2009.
Yeah, you can see Owen is just such a beast in big hollow left, so he'll be psyched if he has a chance to win a world title at Pipeline.
And here goes Owen now, just kicking the fins. Great control there. 18 minutes to go. Waiting on scores to come through for the Australian.
We saw him finish out the entire late season at Pipeline. He was out there surfing every day, finding waves, getting into the event and really doing it. So he's got something up his sleeve, I think, for Pipeline. So if he can make it through here with a good result, he could be deadly over there.
He certainly could. Yeah, Adriano de Souza just psyching and seems really comfortable with his position at the moment. Competed very well in France. You know, he's disappointed not to crack that final, but Medina on finals day was always going to be hard to overcome. Well, there is just under 17 minutes to go as we see Vasco Ribeiro using priority for this wave. Nice first turn. Bashes his board through the pocket for the second move. Praying for a solid finish on the inside, but the wave just faded out. The crowd likes it though, making some noise for the 20-year-old. But we're still waiting on some scores to come through as Owen Wright uses priority out the back. That clean style has looked sharp all year. He manages 2 turns and down the line. Vasco takes to the air. And that was always going to be a hard air to stick. Plenty of impact to try and survive that one. Plenty of experience. He'll be coming up in heat number 6, taking on Mick Fanning. And also in that clash is Sebastian Zeitz. So this time of the year, you've got a lot of surfers fighting for qualification, a title race unfolding, and some guys in the middle just looking for a strong finish. And Owen Wright got a strong finish on that last wave, a clean floater, complete that wave. 15 minutes remaining, and scores starting to drop as we see Michel Bourez ride the roof once again. The wave closes out, and he throws his board back up into it.
If you're lucky, a third turn in there, and that's when the score can go excellent.
Well, here's Vasco again. At this point, he's looking to improve on a 4.5. Eyes the lip.
There's still opportunity for someone to fight back in the heat. You can't let your guard down even if there's just a couple minutes left. Two quick maneuvers there. You can see Michel Bourez just not super excited on that second turn. Just got there a little late. So the score will probably be right in that same area with 5.5, 6 range. And another. So here's the danger for these surfers there. Or here's the tricky part. All these waves are starting to blend together. They all look the same. Just two quick snaps, and then the wave closes out. So the difference is right there. You saw that 2 nice snaps for Vasco, and he was able to kick out. So just the shape of the wave really can make the difference out here today.
So that applies some more pressure to Michel Bourez and Owen Wright, who are chasing high 6s at this point to get themselves in the lead with just over 12 minutes to go.
You can see Owen Wright trying to get up to the north. Here he's found himself a little left-hander. There is a bit of current.
He's going to drive up into the lip, kick the tail, loses contact with his equipment, can't fulfill that maneuver.
So that's been the difference so far in this heat.
Well, here goes Vasco again. He's got a wave. He uses priority for this one. Drives up into the first section, a transition snap to get to this backhand floater. And he finishes it. Looking to drop a 5.17. Do you think the combination of maneuvers there, Ross, is going to warrant that number?
It was a pretty quick wave here, and a nice left-hander for Owen.
Owen drives up into the lip. And really working hard to get that last move in, and he does well. Just kicking the fins into a tidy little reverse with just under 9 minutes remaining. Well, let's check the replay of that last ride. I love that little bit of flair factor to finish this ride off.
Quick snap and into almost a impossible just little jammed reverse there. Such a tough maneuver, especially for a tall guy. 6'3". So pretty incredible there from Owen. Quick little jam to a float. I don't think those maneuvers had enough meat in them to warrant a keeper score for Vasco. Right now he's holding on to a 5. But nonetheless, a lot of speed and a lot of great reflexes to be able to hit that lip twice, basically on a pretty tight closeout.
It's interesting just comparing the two rides for Owen and Vasco on that occasion. Owen had a little bit more flair on his last turn, but it was kind of a desperate reverse, really.
Yeah.
Martin Potter hit the nail on the head, just saying that he feels like Adriano's title hopes really do rest on a big finish here in Portugal. As we see Owen Wright trying to turn this heat around, he needs a 6.48, not going to get it with that wave. And Vasco Ribeiro has put a pretty decent lead on the board, but Ross, you were spot on. His last wave didn't excite the judges enough to see him replace a 5.17. And Owen Wright now has a smaller wave to work with and a hard transition to fit his board into. A 5.37 and a 5.7. Is his height a disadvantage as we see him paddling into this wave? We'll go back to that. But Owen looking for a big finish on this ride, throws his board into the air and he stomps a tidy reverse. Did get a little hung up in the foam there, so the judges will review that, I'm sure, on the replay. 4.5 minutes, but it's chasing a 6.48 to get ahead of the surfer in white, Vasco Ribeiro, who's out there without priority getting this wave. And he throws everything into the first section, looking to improve on a 5.17. He's not going to do that. Well, Michel Bourez, he's holding priority, needs a 6.51. And he's having a look at this one. He's going to drop to the bottom, straight up. Gets his board vertical for a moment. Solid second turn as he drops down and needs a little finish on this wave. And he finds it. Tries to kick the fins. The board kind of hangs up a little bit, but still, 3 turns. He is after a 6.51, Ross.
Apart. And, we know Michel Bourez is a powerhouse, but sometimes if you stomp a little too hard, I like the flow on that first turn. This one just got a little hung up. Keep in mind, these waves are really tight. They can cramp your style, but he got a third jam in there. So 3 maneuvers, it's not out of the question. He might get the score.
You right out of that turn. You've got to make it official. Well, this one is coming to a close, and Vasco Ribeiro, the 20-year-old wild card in front of all his countrymen and women who've come down here to support him, gets a win over two of the best at the CT level. Michel Bourez and Owen Wright will be relegated to round 2, and Vasco is heading straight for round 3. And a solid performance, Ross.
Jeez, this is after the hooter, but that would have been an excellent score right there. Oh, he's going to be psyched. That was a big win.
Huge win. Current 38 on the QS. Looking to qualify at the end of the year, putting on a strong performance against some of the full-timers on the CT.